Hey, Dada's Old Legos here. We've got possibly one of the biggest builds to deconstruct here. It's kind of like a drop ship. You can see that there's a couple people with additional things on there, kind of just hanging out in said drop ship, standing around. Now there's a top to it. I just do open tops with some of the stuff this big. But we've got like a little robot dude pilot. You've got some wings that can kind of fold out a little bit. It did just kind of pop off there. This wing came off. It's not the most secure, but those will like kind of fold out, and then there's this little cannon that would be able to be angled down and shot around at any angle, but that's actually held in place just barely by what I've got kind of like there, so it's forced to go forward, and then it can just go fast forward, and then I don't know, fly around more. That's the idea, at least. There's also in the back, there's like this little storage area underneath that you could have some supplies or a person under there, and it doesn't close unless you pop this little handle up, so it's stuck open. Like it can't actually shut all the way unless you kind of knock that out of the way there. So a little safety mechanism for the people. Yeah, that's basically what we've got here. We're gonna go ahead and just start breaking this down. Take this person's extra paper off. That's an easy thing for sure. Looks like there was a robot. No, alien. She's a looks like a blue-faced, I think, alien. I'm pretty sure, but she's got herself a little katana, some armor, and then we've got this dude right here. He's actually got one of these things for his head part. We're gonna just take that off, and then we've got some knight from another set. We've got our pilot here with his big nose and his like R2D2 part. Gotta get your R2D2s, your droids flying. I don't know. R2D2 is probably one of the most iconic robot characters, right, of any media. When AI starts embodying itself, I've got a feeling it's going to want some personality to kind of like nucleate around or kind of build its character off of. There's got to be some R2D2s. The children of R2D2, the family. Maybe. That's my what I hope for R2 in his memory. But yeah, we've got a couple of these little droid arms which we used for this. So some droids will have some proper arms again if we break this apart for them. Gonna take some time. Oh, the doors, I forgot to show this. There are two little side doors here that open up. It's the same sort of parts there on both sides. Not perfect in terms of color coordination, but I tried to make it fairly symmetrical. I mean, it's definitely not the exact same, but there's, I think, a pretty solid effort towards making it consistent in its color usage. Oh, the dude, I never finished taking apart the dude. Let's do that. Get the blue with the blue, the black with the black, etc. So that when I put the parts away, I can just get it all sorted out nice and neat. Alright, got that there, got that there. Got this here. Piece by piece. I don't know if there's too many other surprises besides what I've shown at this point. We're gonna go ahead and take off the exciting parts first, right? The moving parts. I think that's a good philosophy with these videos, is kind of keep people engaged and seeing what parts we had. This was able to kind of like come down and then angle up, so it was able to get all kinds of angles. It was just so delicate, like not practical to actually use that way. but fun to imagine it as something that it can do as it's coming in and landing. So yeah, that's this part. I think that's mostly gray. We'll put that there with the grays. Our controls for the ship. Just like a handle. Kind of funny. Like, yeah, that works for controls. You put your hands on it, right? I mean, spaceships and whatnot. Maybe you'll be controlling it with brain implants in the future. You gotta have like a manual option though. You can't just go completely through these digital signals. I don't like over relying on things. I like having some redundancy. Huh, that's interesting. I used a bunch of these parts as the walls. Would not have known that unless I deconstructed it, right? I would have just looked at this and probably not even noticed these purple parts. And the kind of cool thing about doing the deconstructions is that you look at every single part of the build and be like, what was I doing here? How did I do that here? And it does actually kind of give you some weird insights into when it was made and like with what set and what pieces, because a lot of these things come from like similar sets. They're built around the same time, so I had those parts to use. Yeah, I was definitely thinking now I've got just a pile of Legos. It's like, how can you then get that back into sets? But it's better to have it in one pile than all these different builds. If I did want to go back and rebuild a particular thing, I could do it. It just would be a kind of a pain. So I don't know if that's going to happen. Okay, we've got the front of the ship right here. And got our handle taken off there. I think what I'll do is I'll kind of work my way back with these parts, but leave the base plate together, like the stuff that really held it all together, because that's structurally going to be more important and kind of interesting to see that core or skeleton of it all. Pieces doing the work, if you know what I mean. This. Okay, that looks like a part that's holding it together, so I'm going to leave that there for now. And let's just start taking apart the back, the little chamber. It's kind of like a room, honestly. I know I said it was storage. I think that I would keep like the extra like speeders or whatever that they were taking to a certain location in there. They needed a cannon. Yeah, various things. Let's get this here. Got that part. Perfect. So the little lock mechanism is in the back there. Yeah, this is definitely the biggest deconstruction that I've done so far, so I've got to imagine that this will take the most amount of time, but I got it. It's going. Got a little room here. You can kind of see it a little bit better now that we've taken the parts down. And I'm going to run out of space on my table as well because there's just so many parts. Yeah, see, this is already starting to just kind of pop off there. So I've got the very back here, and then other structural parts that were going forward with the door. Let's just take apart the very back for now. Things are starting to just kind of come apart parts wise, which is fine. We're there, basically. I think you'll be able to see, yeah, definitely not perfect symmetry on like these parts here, but pretty close. Okay. Yeah, some of these pieces are really long that I used in this, which makes sense. So if I need to do a new sundial, stuff like that's actually perfect. So I can work some better lengths to gain a nice big sundial. The smaller it is, the less accurate due to the shadow being kind of bigger on it. You can have a thinner readout. I don't know how to build, like, for the Annalena, like an adjustment for that for a Lego sundial, though. Working on that. We'll get there. Okay, we've got, this is our base plate so far. This is the back of the room, or that little storage area. So we're just gonna take that apart, if it lets us. Yes, nice. And some of these parts look like they're gonna just not come apart, and then they just pop right off. It's a pleasant surprise. See, like these two things, you could make a sundial with even just one of these. Kind of. It's not gonna be the most accurate, but you essentially can do that. You got a hemisphere, you can make a sundial pretty easily if you've got not a hemisphere, like a half of a circle. Though there's definitely some stuff that can make it like sphere-like with law sundials. Okay. There. Get in here. Yeah, and now I'm running out of space in here, so the colors are starting to kind of overlap where they are. Yeah, this had a nice central beam. Keeping it together. It honestly did feel like one big piece when I was handling like the main part of it, so I think that I actually did do a decent job reinforcing that, doing some engineering, overlaying parts where they needed to, so they're grabbing onto things correctly. Okay, I think that is that. My goodness, that was quite the build deconstruction here. But you know, there's gonna be at least one that's like massive when someone's got these types of projects at home, right? And then the other ones are like, I would like to do bigger ones, but I don't have the parts. So yeah, thank you for joining me. I'll see you next time.